Hey everyone, Kaktiria. Sorry for the late review. The builder hasn't been updated yet, and I had to find a way to somehow get the calculations done and done right. Was the most important part to me. I just didn't want to make assumptions that are wrong. So I had Robot DA. You guys may or may not know him from the all the rank ones he's always getting in the raid events, in the arena, etc. So he built me a Kaktiria, and yeah, you'll see the results in in a few minutes. So let's check out Kaktiria. The overview: she's a breaker and debuffer in her base form, and the Brave Shift, it's really stacked. She's a breaker, she's a debuffer, and most importantly, she's a physical typed magic DPS unit. So whenever you see the star next to the magic, you know she's using physical killers instead of magical killers. That is the most important part here. And you can also, and you should probably, use her as an LB chain finisher. But her LB, you will see that in a few minutes too, is 5 hits per LB in a Brave Shift, that is. And it is weird frames, and it's going to be hard to actually chain that, or make this a chain that doesn't break, especially. Alright, and also great sprite work. I'm loving it. Super awesome sprite. But yeah, let's check out the abilities. It is very stacked, as you can see, very bloated too. I didn't even include her passives this time. Yeah. Alright, so let's zoom in a little bit and check out some of the abilities. I'm not gonna go through all of them. So the main kicker here is, on the one hand, Cactus Break. As you can see, 4 turns cooldown, available immediately. 130 Imperils. The Imperils, they are already pretty good, but she's got better ones. And that is the best thing about it. But this is one of her main breaking skills. It's 85 breaks to all enemies, which is kind of usual these days, but it's only 3 turns while the cooldown is 4 turns. Now, since I don't have her, this still might apply for all 4 turns while this ability is on cooldown. Not quite sure about this, because breaks sometimes they last a turn longer than they should be lasting. It really depends on how the game handles this. I'm not quite sure, but this might actually work out in the end. But technically speaking, you have 1 turn where you don't have breaks. Again, not sure if this is working like this, but let's see. Alright, let's go down a little bit, and yeah. Another notable ability is Barbed Boost, which boosts damage, attack and magic 300% to one ally, and 150 LB damage to one ally as well. Now, I don't know if she can do this to herself, but most units who do this, they cannot apply this to themselves, which makes this kind of a moot point. But then again, we do have Zidane's STMR now, so Barbed Boost, while it is a good ability, we got better ones. And one of the most unique things about Kaktiria are the next abilities: Power Breaking Needles, Magic Breaking Needles, Mental Breaking Needles, and Armor Breaking Needles. Now, I used an older version of the wiki here, but these abilities, they are Grandis abilities, and you can only use them once per battle. They are 87 breaks to attack, magic, spirit, and defense respectively, but once per fight. So keep that in mind. It's a huge downside of hers, I feel like, and yeah, I'm not really a fan of this. Alright, Sacred Oasis is the most busted one here. Adds water element to the whole party, and 135 water imperil to all enemies. The all enemies is the kicker here. It's great. It's really good. And it also imperils 120 to fire, ice, lightning, wind, earth, light, and dark, so pretty much all the remaining abilities. Hollowed Desert, Desert, not dessert, that's something else. I'm gonna have dessert in a few minutes, but Desert is the earth equivalent of Sacred Oasis. What I also like are some of her magic abilities. We can zoom out now again, I guess. Most notably, Protect Gun Shelga, 50% physical and magical damage reduction to all allies, which is pretty sweet. And she also got by stone gun, by water gas, so you can safely put away the espers that you would usually use for that. Right, let's move on to her limit burst in base form. 25% fist imperil to all enemies, which is cool. It's good. It's good. So she's kind of taking away the shtick of Avalanche Tifa, but it's tied to her limit burst. She also does the breaks, 87 breaks. So technically speaking, she has on demand 87 breaks, but you would need to fill her LB every 5 turns. You can't deal damage to the boss with it. So yeah, it's a good LB. Don't get me wrong, it's really a good LB. All right, Brave Shift. So let's zoom in on the left-hand side again. As you can see, Piercing Punch is a 40x magic star, meaning physical killers apply here. Ability Chaos Wave Awakened Frames, but it also ignores 50% SPR, making this effectively an 80x modifier ability. Giant Fist, Water Earth Magic Star, meaning physical killers again. Avalanche Kick, nobody's gonna use that, quite honestly. Alright, another very notable thing is Deadly Draught. 300% magic increase to self, water imperils. I mean, it's the quote-unquote bad imperils, and this is really taking it far because you want the 135 imperils, but still 130 imperils, it's good. But the kicker here, as you can see at the bottom, is that it is a 50% water and earth physical and magical amp for herself. Great, it's really good. It's one of the highest amplifications we've got in the game for earth and water especially. Sadly, it's only to herself. This would have been great. It would have been really amazing if this was for the party. I mean, when Bards can have 45 amp to the party, why can't she? Sorry. But yeah, I mean, it's a stacked ability nonetheless, because it also increases physical damage against beasts and demons by 150 for 5 turns. So Mastermind Zorn has a new lovely target for his Killer Steel. And the magic abilities are the same ones. And let's check out her limit burst. It's a 60x modifier magic star, so it's flexible. Again, you can imbue this with whatever you like, but I would suggest using either water or earth because of the 50% amp and the 135 imperils. And it also decreases or ignores spirit by 50%, making this effectively a 120x attack. Now, the downside is, honestly, it's a all enemies attack. So you'd rather have to use this quickly in dark visions, or else it won't even trigger. It's 5 hits. Again, 5 hit abilities or LBs, they have weird frames. They will break your chain if you don't use this properly, and it's going to be a tough challenge to weave this somehow into your chaining abilities. Think Guardian or Sora, Neo Vision Sora, but worse, to be honest. And again, it also decreases stats by 87%, which is a nice bonus on top. But ideally, in a mage team, you are going to run Savior of Souls Lightning with her 90% spirit break, so this isn't doing much. But if you substitute Kaktiria for Lightning, these are the best breaks you can get. Alright, let's check out the Trustmaster and Super Trustmaster. Honestly, you won't use either, but both are pretty good. So the Trustmaster is an accessory at 55 magic and 50% magic on top. It's a very good accessory for a Trustmaster reward, and it's a direct upgrade to the Nutkin hairpin, for example. But yeah, it's probably never gonna see use because we have three, as in three, no cost, options available. The Doll's Try, for example, the Cursed Doll Plus is a better version. It doesn't have the magic percent, but we never run out or you never face the issue of not having enough magic percent. So the accessory, well, very good on paper. It probably won't ever see use. Her Super Trustmaster is then a fist at 200 base magic and 20% increased HP. And it also increases beast killers, physical and magical, as well as demon, physical and magical, by 50%. It's really good. On the one hand, it's a bad weapon type. On the other hand, great stats, 50% killers, both magic and physical. It's great. However, you will not use this. If you have upgrade package from AI Katie, you will use rods instead. Now, if you don't have that, and if you don't have honorable rod arts, you are going to use her STMR combined with Emir Gauntlet, unless you have her STMR twice for some reason. But yeah. Also, the fist feels like an upgrade to Selfie's Trustmaster reward, because it's quite similar in what it does, but this adds a few killers as well. But again, if you have upgrade package or honorable rod arts, you will not use the fists, most likely. And you will see why in a few minutes when we do the damage comparison. So let's check out the vision card, and the vision card has such a lovely animation. It's just great. But yeah, the vision card, 110 magic, it's great. I mean, what else can you say? But the passives, they are tied to fists, 30%, 40%, 50%. 50% are level 10 for FFBE units only. It's great, but it's fists, and you're not gonna use fists. That's all I can say about this vision card. It's a great vision card for the magic alone, but the fist requirement is a little bit taxing, because nobody's ever gonna use fists. Alright, so let's get down to business. The most important part here, damage calculations. So the assumptions, pretty much standard, 90% spirit break, we're assuming a 300% magic and spirit buff. Why spirit? We are using Shuyu, of course, to check out the comparisons. We are facing a boss, near Dark Visions boss with 22.5k spirit, 60% passive spirit and 60% elemental resistance. We are using best possible amounts of killers with varying amounts of killers, because you cannot have everyone have the same amount of killers and LB, so that doesn't work, but you will see that in just a minute. And we are also buffing killers 150%, and it's, to be specific, we are using dragon killers, because nobody that we are using is very good against dragons, so everyone's treated unfairly equally. So yeah, that was a good assumption to make here. And yeah, the reason why I'm using a 150 killer buff is to adjust against evokers, pretty much. We are using the 135 Water Imperil, we are using a 135 Earth Imperil 2 for Dark Phenom Soul, I forgot to mention this on the slide. 130 Fire Imperil, which is Roy Mustang, he can do that himself. And a 120% Dark Imperil for Ibarra. I don't know where she would get the 120 Dark Imperil from, but let's assume that it's there. And of course, we are using 35% Rod Imperil. This is the build for Kaktiria. As you can see, this is super expensive. It's using 2 equipment pieces that are time limited, mainly Lion Armor and Upgrade Package. And yeah, I mean, technically it's even using 3 limited time equipment pieces. Guardian of Light Sora is also limited. But yeah, this is the best you can build her towards a dragon boss. It may vary for other races, but the upgrade package and Lion Armor, they will stay regardless. Okay. These are the units that we are comparing her to. So Shuyu, Dark Phenom Soul, Roy Mustang, and Ibarra, all at EX plus 3. Alright, and Kaktiria, let's move back a slide. With this gear and all these assumptions, she's reaching 275% LB damage and 275% killers. Dragon killer to be more specific. All right, and here's the damage comparison. This looks good. So yeah, I'm using a German version of Excel. So wherever it says falsch, I was about to pronounce it in the English way, that is false. And wherever it states wahr, it's true for English. Okay, but that's just for your information. As you can see, Kaktiria is at the bottom. I also included rods via Katy STMR. She is coming out quite highly, and the reason is, as you can see at the very right, let me point this out with the mouse here, it's the elemental amps that make the difference, because Kaktiria has the highest amplifications in the game. 50% from her own, 25% on top from Luna Freya's field effect, and 20% on top from the stage amp of Dark Visions. So you have to keep that in mind. And yeah, Kaktiria is 104.266% damage of Ibarra, making her a very strong chain finisher. And she's 70% of Luna Freya's damage, which it is expected. Luna Freya just reaches crazy amounts of magic, as you can see. And yes, it states magic for Shuyu, but this is just taking her spirit value into account. The damage assumptions or the damage calculation doesn't matter. It's the same. I adjusted this on the Excel sheet for her spirit stuff. So don't worry about that. So yeah, Kaktiria is surprisingly very strong, but again, the gearing requirements, they are very harsh. Alright, so how does she fare in the meta? For a breaker main role, she's surprisingly strong and deals just a little bit more damage than Ibarra, provided you can gear her perfectly. And this is the huge kicker, because if you can't, and if you're required to use honorable rod arts, for example, her damage will fall off significantly, because you're either sacrificing killers or you'll be sacrificing LB damage, and this drops her in the list by a huge amount. So keep that in mind. Kaktiria does a lot, but she doesn't really excel at anything, really, because she'll have to LB for her good breaks anyway. What I feel like is she's lacking innate LB damage. She has exactly 0, making her another Ibarra in that regard. On the other hand, she has super high water and earth imperils that make her a great choice for very specific types of fights, mainly water weak fights in Dark Visions, where you want to use Luna Freya, because she is Luna Freya's best friend. She's great roll compression for especially newer players, but less valuable to those with better options, mainly Saber of Souls Lightning and Vinera namely. And what I also like about Kaktiria is she's a flexible physical type magic chainer, which makes her very cool, but she's missing a quad cast. I forgot to mention that, but she has no quad cast, so keep that in mind. And yeah, like I mentioned, she's Luna Freya's best friend due to the 130 imperils. Alright, should you pull? If you're in dire need of a breaker because you missed Saber of Souls Lightning or Vinera, you're getting your hands on a very good breaker with a very high ceiling for damage, provided you can gear her properly. So yeah, in short, pull if you want a good breaker, pull if you love the sprite animation, both are marvelous, but skip if you got Lightning or Vinera, and you may as well skip if you got Shuyu or Ibarra, and Evokers obviously. But yeah, that's all there is to it. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helped clearing out some misinterpretation of Kaktiria, because I know people didn't like her at first sight, but really deep diving into her kit, theory crafting what's possible with her, it turns out she's actually good. But it takes a lot to make her good, and that is maybe the issue with Kaktiria. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, I'd like to read your comments, how you're liking her, the sprite, etc. And unless I find anything else to talk about on today, We'll see each other tomorrow for the second day of Dark Visions. Take care, have a nice Friday evening. Bye bye.